What's going on, boys and girls? We're back at it again. We got some packages in for a flash, as you can see. So let's cut all the talking out and start unboxing. First thing we got is a fuse box. It's 4 gauge out, 0 gauge in. Has 100 amp fuses in it. Second, we have box here. These are the battery terminals for it, for the battery. There's 6 0-aught in, but you can also use 4 gauge, 10 gauge, or 8 gauge in here. All you gotta do is pull this little sleeve out. And then there's a sleeve in here, so if your terminal is a little bit bigger, you just pull the sleeve out and use this set screw right here to tighten it down on the battery. I like these a lot better than the regular conventional ones that just have a little screw and a nut on it. We also have zero gauge ground wire. I know it says power, but we're going to be using it for ground. We also have ring terminals. I know there's a lot of ways to use these. They're copper, 3/8 inch hole. The way we're going to use them, we're going to use a hammer crimper. I do have the big pliers to crimp these, but the hammer crimper makes it so much easier and so much faster. You just stick your wire in, stick the whole thing in the crimper, and hit it with a hammer a couple times, and bam, locked on for life. So once we get to that portion, I will show you how it works. And we have one more box. This is also 0-aught. You see right there, 0-aught. Then we have some adapters that we're going to use for our big amp that runs our subs, so we can get max power to them, along with some connectors and shrink wrap. These were the connectors I was going to use. Double 0-aught, and then little like, I don't know what that is, 8 gauge maybe. So we decided not to use these. We're going to use the other ones instead. And then here's another set of those adapters that go for power and ground. So let's get started. All right, we back, YouTube. So basically with the Slingshot, we're gonna do the big 3 upgrade, which I've already done most of it. I just need to do some rewiring back there by the battery. So the big 3 consists of, right here, you'll see the 0-aught, and this is the alternator. So I got one run that goes all the way to the back there. I have one run that comes up here so I can jump it off. This and this is connected, that runs back to the battery right here. Also, you need the ground from the alternator. I'm not sure if you can see it right there. Let's see if I can get it. But right here, right there, not sure if y'all can see where the light is. Hopefully it'll come out on the video. If not, I'll take y'all down low. So hopefully right here, you can see there's two grounds. One is going to go to the back, and the other one is going to go to the chassis. And that's your big 3-out upgrade. So I've seen it where you ground one to the chassis, take one to the battery. So one of these actually goes all the way back in the back to the battery, the other one goes to the chassis. So, which I believe I grounded in the back on that little stud next to the battery, which is the closest place. So let's go in the rear and check that out. So as you can see, I got a mess down here. This is the reason why I want to go ahead and clean this up. There's just way too many wires and it doesn't look good. So we're gonna get rid of some of these fuses because I got too many of them. And then we're going to rewire some stuff, make it a lot simpler, put those other terminals on and go from there. So I need to get this stuff out the way and get this battery out. So basically it's just, I believe it's a 12mm bolt on this one because I changed my terminals out. Same thing over there on the ground. We will get those out and then I'll get the battery out and then we'll go from there. All right, let's do it. All right, YouTube, we got the battery out. It's right here, along with the bracket, some extra wires that we didn't need. So what do we have left? We have the wire right here is for the slingshot itself. It goes up right here into this little fuse block. We have a ground here. This is where I was talking about. I grounded it to the chassis, and this will go to the battery. This one right here, comes from the front and is connected to the alternator. This other black one comes from the front also. It goes in here and it goes to the batteries that's behind the seat. This positive right here will connect to the battery along with these two down here. They come from the alternator itself. So we'll get those hooked back up. And what I'll do is I'll put a fuse on this one right here with one of these, and then the other one will go onto the battery itself. And then these little small 8-gauge wires that's in here, they're brown and blue. Those are for the 3 amps that's in the up front. So there's one under each seat, and then there's one behind the passenger seat. These two right here go to the amp that's actually run the subs, and it's back here, it's right there, but it goes up inside this cavity right here. So we're going to change these wires out, make them 0-aught, and if it doesn't fit, that's the reason I bought the adapters, to make it fit. So rather than bore you with me wiring all this stuff up, I'm just going to do it, and then I'll come back and show you what I've done so you can see. So we'll clean this all up and we'll get our terminals and get the wires in the terminals tightened down and everything, and then we'll be ready to put the battery back in and hopefully have some decent sound. All right, till then, we'll be back. As you can see I pulled the wires through. They come down from down here. Red is going to be power. Blue is going to be ground. I almost said black. And they come up right here, come out, and it looks like we have 0-aught holes for the power and ground on the amp. So these should bolt right in, and we should not need the adapters for this. So it'll be quick and painless. I'm not gonna bore you with how to put these in there. You just cut some of the sheeting off, stick it in there, screw it down, make sure it's tight, pull on it a couple of times, make sure it doesn't come out. But by the way, this is an audio pipe. It's a 2,000 watt amp. The subs are rated 1,000 watts a piece, and they are Toro Massives. So I will wire these up and we'll be back. Like I said, I just cut around the sheathing, split it down the middle and peeled it off, and I twist the wire so you don't have any frays or anything like that. This is our ground. Blue is ground, so we're gonna stick this in here just like that. Take our trusty Bauer from Harbor Freight. You stick it in, give it a couple of tugs, and it's solid. So we'll do the same thing with the power wire. Right here. So you split it down the middle. Just like that. Stick it in. Screw it down. There it is. 0-aught to your amps. So what will come down here is, we'll come down here, pull this back a little bit. I think we're gonna have to reroute them wires up there, but anyway. So we're gonna cut this, and then we're gonna put one of these on the bottom of here, one of these crimp connectors, and then this, actually, no, well, yeah, because we got to put a fuse on here. So we're gonna take probably this fuse, maybe this one. I think these are 100 amp, and this one right here is a 250. So I think what we'll do is just take the fuse out of here and stick it in one of these, because it's the same ANL Fuse holder. We should be good. So once I do that, we'll be back. All right, we have our terminals right here that we're gonna put in. We have our two connectors for the positive, because the ground will not need one. But we have our crimper that we're going to use to crimp these connectors right here onto the wire. So what we need is a hammer. So we have an assortment. So I think we're going to go with Little Baby. You can see all the mess. So really, we need to cut this wire back probably about 1/4 of an inch, as you can see. So we need about that much right there. Wire just like that. We take our connector, stick it on just like that. As you can see, there's no frays. And then what you do with this is you take this, lift it up, stick it in there just like that. And as soon as I find my light, so I can actually light it up for you guys. Oh. I love this portable AC. Yeah, it's hot, but that's okay though. We got that one and we got a window air conditioner, so we're gonna be all right. So again, the way this works is take and you lift this up just like that, stick your wire that you want to crimp down here, it automatically holds it. Only thing you gotta do is make sure your wire is flush. And you take a little baby right here, give it a few whacks, and you can lift it up, and your wire is crimped. The only thing you gotta do now is put some heat shrink on it, or some tape if you don't have heat shrink. And then what will happen is this will actually connect to a fuse just like this. The other end will go to the battery, and we'll be good to go. We'll be golden. So we should be good. All right, so let's get to work. All right, I ran out of red, so we'll have to use black. So we borrowed our black heat shrink from our adapters. So we're just gonna use the heat gun, Black & Decker, melt this down. And just like that, we're good to go. And the reason we do this is so this doesn't bounce around, accidentally hit something or something like that and cause a spark. So next we just take our fuses just like this. You have a lock washer on here also, along with a small washer. So we're going to pull both of those off. Stick our connector on. Stick the big flat washer first. Stick the locking washer next, and then our nut. Just like that. And tighten it up. Just like that, that's tight. And then we got to create another one of these on this side that will go to the battery and then go to our actual connector itself. So we'll get our red wire. We'll probably make it about this long, just in case. That way we can get the battery in and out if we need it to, without any hassles. Again, we'll get our knife, we'll go around. Cut down the middle. Just like that. And it comes off. We're going to take our connector, stick it in, no phrase. Take a hammer crimp. Lift it up, stick it in. Always make sure that your wire is in before you start crimping it and hitting it with the hammer. So it's in, it's flush. Give it a few taps. That should do it. Just like that. We're going to take our heat shrink. Just like that. And then this will go on the other end of this fuse. Flat washer, a lock washer, a nut. Just like that. Like that. You put your lid back on. And we're good to go. All right, just like that. We have our grounds in. So really we just got to hook this positive to the positive terminal for the battery, and then hook this, which comes from this fuse box right here, this fuse box right here, which is this wire right here, to our terminal, and then our terminal to our battery. This wire right here comes from the alternator. So the alternator actually charges all three batteries at once, so it kind of splits it. So yep, that is the big three upstalls. Install, should I say. So I will get these connected all up and we'll go from there. All right, later. All right, YouTube, we got our battery back in, got our power and ground for our amp that's underneath. This wire right here is so I can plug my charger up. I don't have to worry about trying to get under here to connect batteries. We got our other fuse right here for the batteries behind the seat that comes straight from the alternator. We have our 0 gauge right here. Let's see if you can see that. 0 gauge right there that goes up to the battery and grounds it to the chassis. And then we got the 2 runs that's up here on the alternator. You got the factory connection right here, and then you got the 2 runs that goes to 2 sets of batteries in the back. And down under here you have your 2 runs of ground that goes to the back, 1 for each battery. Back here you can see you got your 0-aught. We got the run that comes in from the alternator, and then we got the other ground that comes in from the alternator up front, and then we have it grounded over here to the seat belt. So that's my big 3. Also, this alternator is a Mechman 270, so it's a high put alternator just because I have so many electronics. We got our fuse blocks in, so I think we are complete. Everything seems to be working. All right, just like that, we got everything put back together. Here's our charging cord. All right, so we got everything put back together. You have 2 bolts down here, which are your T40 star bits, and then you got 2 push pins right here. Other than that, she's all back together. As you can see, you got an amp back in. Everything's working. We fully charged. Always like, subscribe, hit that bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.